Alright, hello people, today we are going to talk about the props with React. It's a very important topic, so I'm glad to help you. Right there, we are just in a pretty simple Create React App application with one app.js and one child element. Alright, a child with a paragraph of child. So first we need to import our child. So import child from /child like that. And then I will just put it right there. Alright, so we do have one child right there. Okay, so what are the props? Props stands for properties, and it's some data that you can pass from parent to child. Okay, so the parent right there is app and the child is child. Okay, so to do it, you can just go right there and write it. So for example, name equal Enzo. All right. And now in my child, I can retrieve those props. I can use those props. So I need to put props in the parameter right there. And then, for example, I can log it and see what's going on. So now I press F12. And if you want to undock your DevTools, you can just click on the three dots right there and undock. Right. And now I do have one object. This is the prop object. And I do have my name Enzo. All right, so it's working. So it's the basic implementation of the props. First, you need to say that you will receive some props. So you need to put props right there on the child that will receive some props. And then you need to give those props with a name. So it can be whatever you want. So I've put name right there and some value. So if it's a string, you can put it like that, but if it's a number or whatever, you put some curly braces, so you can also put it like that, all right? And then I can retrieve it with my props object. So I can also use it. I just have to open my curly braces and props.name, Enzo. All right, great, it's working. So can we put some other thing than just string right there? Yes, we can. We can put some numbers, for example, 99. All right, and it's working. We can put some object, some array, for example, it's working, and some object too, A5, for example. So right now I will have nothing because I've put props.name, but I need to put props.name dot, and the name of my property is A right there, so .a, and now it will work. All right, because in our object, we do have another object, the name object, and we need to take the A property. All right, so this is a basic implementation. We can put whatever we want into those props, and we can also put some multiple props. So for example, I will just put name equal John, and ID, for example, it's pretty common to pass some ID. So ID equal 99, and after that, some txt lorem ipsum. All right, and now in my object, in my property object, I do have all those properties. All right, and I can use them. I can use them like that, prop.name and txt and id. All right, so it's working just great. But sometimes you will see a different syntax when you do have a lot of properties like that, or even when you do have one property, you will see a destructuring in the parameter. It can look strange at first, but it's kind of useful. So for example, I know that I will receive an object with those different properties, name, ID, txt, right there, all right? So I can just do some destructuring right there and take the name, ID, txt. Name, ID, txt. And now I don't need to put the props dot right there, and it will work just fine. All right. All right. So use this syntax if you find it useful, because it can be shortened. Yes, it's true, but it can also be useful to see, you know, the props right there. The word props, because sometimes, and a lot of times with React or whatever, we are using a lot of data from API, from backend, from whatever. And sometimes it's important to know that, okay, those are props. Those are props that are coming from some parents. Those are not data from a random API or whatever. All right. So use that syntax if you find it useful for you. So yeah, all right. So after that, I want to show you a last thing. So a kind of useful trick. You can also pass some function to the property. So for example, if I have right there const delete element equal, it will take an ID and it will just log for the example purpose delete and my ID. It's a very common thing to do that kind of stuff. I mean, in a parent element, we will have all the data and all the logic, and it will have some child, for example, for a list. And sometimes when you click on a button in a child, so right there, for example, you want to delete that certain child. So you need to create, for example, a button and on click equal, and I will call delete func with the ID, the props ID, and I will put X right there. So I need to pass that function, I need to pass that delete func. Delete func equal delete element, all right? And now I can do some destructuring, delete func right there, okay? So I do have one little button right there. So sorry, it's little, but it's right there. You can see it right there. And now if I click on it, it will trigger my function with that anonymous function. So why did I put, why did I put an anonymous function right there? It's because I want to call that function with an argument. If you want to call a function with an argument in JSX right there, you need to put an anonymous function that will be triggered and that will trigger a function with an argument. If you do something like that, it will trigger the function when the component is mounted, when the component is created. And we do not want to delete that element when the component is mounted, when the component is created. It makes no sense, all right? So we do want to add something. Only when we click on it, it will trigger that will trigger that, all right? And now if I open my console and I click right there, I will have delete 99 every time, all right? If I just refresh it and I click on it, it will delete my element. So it's pretty useful because a lot of time we use list with React. It means that we are returning with the map method, for example, a lot of element, okay? And for example, it will have or something like that, 100, 99, and 98, okay? So we want to delete that element when we click on it, the ID 100 and ID 99, etc., etc. So right now, if I click on it again, so I just refresh it, I click there, it's deleting the good one, and right there, it will delete the good one, etc., etc. All right. So with that kind of trick, we can delete something with the good ID, with the correct ID, and this is pretty useful and handy. All right, so this is it for the props. So you can pass some data from parent to child. You can retrieve those data with props right there in the parameter, or you can do some destructuring, and then you can use it as you want. All right, great. I hope I've helped some bodies, and see you next time. Bye.